Guys, welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English, and one of the hardest things when it comes to sitting any exam, any assessment, any piece of work isn't knowledge, isn't content, but it's my God, sir, I just can't finish the exam. I skip questions, not because I don't know how to answer the questions, but I've run out of time. Sir, if I had 5 more minutes, if I had 10 more minutes, I could have changed the course of history. I could have taken my grade 5 to a grade 8, my grade 6 to a grade 9. And guys, I feel your pain. I really feel your pain. Because you're not beat by the content. You're not beat by the knowledge. You knew everything. You're beat by the pesky clock. But unfortunately, it's the system that we exist under. Your exams are timed. Everything is done against the clock. And you can't underestimate that. You have one chance at the end of your school years to prove how much you know, but it's limited to a box. And that box is a clock with numbers on it. And you need to make sure that by the time that clock hits 000, you have given everything you got. And that is why, guys, in this video, we are going to go over how do you write faster. One of the most underrated, underestimated skills when it comes to exams. Everyone talks about learning quotes. Everyone talks about everything under the sun. But if you know everything, if by the end of year 11, you become a walking, talking encyclopedia for English or maths or science, but unfortunately, this can't write fast enough, you've kind of wasted your time because you can't show the world how much you know. It's gonna stay in your head forever and you'll have it in your head forever, but you will not get the grade you deserve. That is why, guys, we are gonna talk about how to write faster. And I hope by the end of this video, you will have some benefit in this. Everything education. Tuition for maths, English, and science. Number 1, guys. What's the first thing I want you to do to write faster? First, I want you to write out 1 paragraph. Just write 1 paragraph. It could be answering paper 1 question 2. It could be a paragraph on Macbeth. It could be a paragraph about you brushing your teeth. I really don't care, guys, but write out 1 paragraph and time yourself in how long it takes you to write it. Then, I want you to copy out that same paragraph again and time yourself. Then copy the same paragraph again and time yourself. Why? If you look at how human beings work when they write, a lot of students waste a lot of time thinking. So they're not actually practicing writing. They are just absorbed in, okay, what shall I write here? What shall I write here? By doing this particular task, we're removing the thinking out of it for now. We're just training ourselves to literally write faster. Repeat. Just get used to writing at a certain pace. Get used to moving the pen on the page. Get used to joining your letters at a certain pace. And don't underestimate that. A lot of students don't get that practice in writing. So guys, imagine, right? Imagine every day you spend 10 minutes just copying out the same paragraph, but your focus is to beat the clock. Get faster. That's the first advice. Practice, time yourself, repeat. Practice, time yourself, repeat. Number 2, I spoke about it earlier, but now let's talk about it. Thinking time. This is what kills a lot of the time. I see my students, guys, right, when I teach them, and they'll be midway through a paragraph and they're kind of staring off into the stars. And I say, what are you doing? And they say, sir, I'm thinking. Guys, 2 important points when you are sitting an exam. If you're writing a story at home, yeah, think all day long. I couldn't care less. But in an exam, you are given something that is called planning time. If you have planned correctly, and if you have planned the stages of your paragraph correctly, then when you write, you should literally just be writing. Because the thinking part, the thought dump, is done already. All you got to do is turn that into your piece of writing. So if you find yourself thinking a lot throughout a paragraph, please go back and revisit how you're planning, because there's something wrong in the way you are planning. Number 2, guys, whenever I write a paragraph, while I'm writing, I'm already thinking about what's coming next. It's impossible to not do that. And that's what you need to do. So you've planned your work and now you're writing. But always focus on, okay, what's coming next? What's coming next? What's coming next? Don't allow yourself to pause. Learn to multitask. Learn to write and think at the same time. And at this point, guys, I'm going to say something very clearly. I beg you, don't overcomplicate things that don't need to be overcomplicated. Don't start thinking about weird and wacky and new wonderful words that I can use. I've been in situations, guys, where kids have paused during an exam and they put their hand up and to ask, I don't know, sir, what's a better word for therefore? You don't do that in the middle of an assessment. You don't do that in the middle of an exam. That's what your revision should have done. That's what you should have done beforehand. So guys, number 1, practice, time yourself and repeat. Number 2, learn to think before you begin writing. Sort out your planning and then start to think about what's coming next. Number 3, guys, unfortunately, and I feel sorry for you guys because looking back, I don't know how I did exams, but unfortunately, guys, your exams are not for 5 minutes. Your exams are not for 30 minutes. Your exams are for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. What's my point? Learn to start writing for that period of time. So don't just do short burst paragraphs. Everyone can do a 5-minute superstar paragraph. But at some point, learn or practice writing constantly for an hour and a half. Practice writing constantly for 2 hours. The amount of students, guys, who smash it in the first 10 minutes, but they get gassed by the 30-minute mark. And then apparently by the 40-minute mark, they've got a migraine and they can't concentrate anymore. Guys, you can't be doing that. Learn to work consistently and constantly for the duration of whatever the length of your exam is. So for example, if you're prepping for English language paper 1, you should train yourself to write non-stop for 1 hour and 45 minutes. If I'm telling you now, guys, if you don't, then you are in for a shock come May and June. Because you're gonna go in there so confident that I know everything about anything. But because you've not done that practice, you're not gonna be able to execute it on the day. Guys, next one. 2 important things. Please don't write massively, it's common sense. Guys, don't write in humongous letters. The bigger you're writing, the more time you're spending on producing the letters, and it's just wasting time. Write at a decent size. Next point, guys, don't hold this pen too tight. If you hold your pen too tight, you are gonna tire your hand out much faster than if you're not. Now, these are basic things, but trust me, I see it all the time. Learn, and this will happen the more you practice. This will happen the more you practice. Because how you hold your pen and how you write, if you had practiced consistently, you would realize, hold on, my hand's getting tired. So naturally, you will loosen up your grip on the pen. So guys, don't write big and don't hold your pen too tight, because it's gonna, number 1, writing big is gonna waste a lot of time. And number 2, holding the pen will tire you out quicker. And the last part, guys, I say this with a disclaimer. Writing so the examiner can read your work is important. However, speed is 10,000 times more important than presentation. Remember, disclaimer, they have to be able to read your work. But some of you will cross out your work if it's not neat enough. It's not a beauty pageant. You're not going to get no marks for your handwriting. As long as they can read it, job's done. Speed is more important than your handwriting. So learn to write at a certain pace whilst making your writing semi-decent, and boom, off you go. But guys, look, when it comes to writing faster, the key thing I want you to really appreciate is that the practice is gonna be the most important part. And that's what a lot of us are scared of. Because practice, I always say it, practice requires you to actually work. And we don't like to actually work. We'll sit there and watch YouTube videos, we'll sit there and read flashcards, we'll sit there and do everything, but we won't do the exam practice. Guys, your practice is your most important part. Employ all the other elements. Practice, think about your thinking time, think about how you plan, train yourself to think while you write, think about your handwriting and the size of it, think about how you hold your pen, think about your practice, as in, do you practice for 5 minutes or do you actually write for an hour and a half and really train yourself to work in exam conditions? Do all these things together, and hopefully guys, come your May, June exams, you're gonna be ready for every subject. This advice isn't just for English, guys, it's for every subject. And don't underestimate it. Because there are so many students up and down the country who come August were wishing, if only I had 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, I could have changed my grade completely. So do guys get that practice in. Alright guys, it's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.